This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. What's going on, Ram fans? Mark from Rams Up here. I'm going to get into my review and recap of the Rams' loss to the Seahawks, the season finale. This will be the last episode we talk about that. We get to our roundtable on Wednesday night. It's going to be all about the playoffs, this wild card match against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll look back at that first meeting. What are the Rams' prospects of moving on? All that good stuff. But as for this loss to the Seahawks, I'll address the Rams' overall approach to this game in my Coach's Corner segment later this episode. Overall, got to be impressed with the work put in by our offense. Defense gave up just one too many drives to a very productive starting unit for the Seahawks. Gives you an idea maybe of how much separation there is between the Rams roster and the Seahawks roster if a mix of our starters and backups, mostly backups, can fight the Seahawks pretty much dead even for 60 minutes. Coming out of this game, the big question for me is, moving forward, do the Rams make a move and bring in a running back that can help them out? They probably have to, whether it's a number 4 running back to add to the practice squad perhaps, or maybe a veteran that can actually contribute if needed. Maybe a veteran with some playoff experience that's been staying in shape, waiting for the phone call. Hey, maybe Eric Weddle has a cousin that can carry the rock. One of the fallouts of this loss, we'll get into that a little bit more in this episode, the loss of Blake Corum and how it impacts this Rams team. But we'll have to monitor that, what the Rams do at the running back position. They're going to do something probably minor, but nonetheless, got to bring a running back into the fold, I think. Before we get to my recap of the Rams-Seahawks game, did some calculations here. What might the second round look like for our Los Angeles Rams? That's right. I'm predicting right now there will be a second round for our Los Angeles Rams. Now, Dan Campbell made a little off-the-cuff comment that's got a lot of Ram fans spun up to the Vikings coach. Hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks. It's not that simple, Dan. It really isn't. Whether you're trying to diss the Rams or not, maybe you're trying to diss the Packers and the Commanders, because if they win, you're not going to be seeing the Vikings in 2 weeks. But who might the Rams see in the second round? Well, it depends on how the first round plays out. Of course, the wild card round. Lions, in every case, have a bye and will be the number 1 seed. We know that. Now, the only matchups I'm going to present here are the ones involving a Rams win over the Vikings, because if that's not the case, why would I care? So scenario 1, the Packers upset the Eagles in Philadelphia, and the Bucs take care of the Commanders. In that scenario, the Packers would go to Detroit, an NFC North rematch, while the Rams travel to Tampa Bay. I kind of like that scenario. That's probably my second favorite. The Rams' path to the Super Bowl in past seasons has also gone through Tampa Bay. Been there, done that. The second scenario, well, what if the top 4 seeds all win? The Rams would be going to Detroit and the Bucs would be going to Philadelphia. The third scenario, what if the Rams are the only top seed to win and the Commanders and the Packers both win on the road? In that scenario, another NFC North rematch, the Packers and the Lions, while the Commanders would be coming to LA. That's my favorite. And the fourth scenario, probably my least favorite, the Eagles and Rams win at home while the Commanders beat the Bucs. In that case, the Commanders would be going to Detroit, and the Rams would be going to Philadelphia. So that's how it would work, Mr. Campbell. There are plenty of scenarios where you would not be seeing the Vikings in Detroit next week. And even if the Rams were to fall to Minnesota, that wouldn't necessarily send the Vikings back to Detroit. Minnesota could actually be heading home to host a second-round playoff game. Let's recap how this game unfolded. First 3 possessions were punts, 2 by the Rams, 1 by the Seahawks. Seattle's second possession set up at their own 45 after a 17-yard punt return. 5 plays, 50 yards for the score. Key play was a 32-yard reception by Noah Fant. And it's Geno to UCLA grad Jake Bobo for the score. Seahawks up 7-0. Rams answered with a field goal. Big play on that drive, Jimmy to Tutu for 22 yards. Set them up 1st and 10 at the Seattle 27, but they settle for a Joshua Carty 37-yarder, 7-3 Seattle. Seahawks answered with another TD drive, 7 plays, 70 yards. Geno scrambled for 15 yards on 3rd and 1. Then he hits Metcalf for 22 yards to the Rams 24. 3rd and 8 from the 20, the Rams bring pressure. Geno spins out of it up the middle and finds Metcalf escaping Ahkello Witherspoon in the end zone, and they are up 14-3. And at this point, I thought, game might get away from the Rams here. But they respond. In the second quarter now, Rams go 78 yards in 8 plays. Tyler Johnson had a 20-yard catch and run. 3rd and 3 from the Seattle 6. It's none other than Tyler Higbee with a TD catch, and it's 14-10. The Seahawks add a 56-yard field goal to go up 7 again, 17-10. On the next possession, Jimmy throws an interception, probably his worst pass of the day. But the Rams defense holds. Seahawks go 3 and out, give the ball right back to the Rams, and with less than a minute left, they're able to add a field goal, a 31-yard pass from Jimmy to Demarcus Robinson on the sideline. Strange call. They ruled he made the catch, but got out of bounds, stopping the clock for the Rams. To me, it looked like he was down in bounds and touched. And they reviewed that, let it stand. And they let Joshua Carty try a 58-yard field goal, and he hits it. It's 17-13 at halftime. Some halftime stats. Seattle had a time of possession edge of about 2.5 minutes. Both teams had 9 first downs. Passing yardage pretty even, 130 for the Seahawks, 133 for the Rams. Seattle had 76 yards rushing, Rams 48, and that would continue into the second half, as we'll see. Yards per carry, a healthy 6.3 for the Seahawks, 4.4 for the Rams. That Geno Smith run had a lot to do with that. 1 turnover thus far, the interception thrown by Jimmy G. Rams had 102 return yards at this point. Second half, Seattle gets the ball first. They go 3 and out, and the Rams add another field goal to make it 17-16. Jimmy to Demarcus Robinson for 18 yards was the big play on that drive. This time, Carty hits a 57-yarder. So starting to like what we see out of Joshua Carty, right? So it's 17-16, but Seattle drives 70 yards on 10 plays to widen their lead to 24-16. The backbreaker on this drive, and perhaps the biggest play of the game, on 3rd and 10 from their own 30, looked like the Rams had a good shot at forcing a 3 and out, but JSN makes his only catch of the day and laterals to Zach Charbonnet. It goes for 32 yards down to the Rams 38, and 7 plays later, Geno finds A.J. Barner for a 4-yard touchdown pass. So Seahawks up 24-16 here. The Rams respond with a TD of their own, 9 plays, 70 yards. Jordan Whittington has a 24-yard catch on this drive. Tyler Johnson takes the honors in the end zone, though, a 4-yard pass from Jimmy G. Rams fail on the 2-point conversion. That's 0 for 3 on the year, so they're trailing 24-22.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jurel Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Unstoppable is streaming exclusively on Prime Video January 16th.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
The Rams force another 3-and-out and get the ball back for their offense. 7 plays, 58 yards, 50 of those coming on a pass to Jordan Whittington after the cornerback falls down on a double move. This time, Cardi hits a 37-yarder after Jimmy G is sacked on 3rd and 8 from the Seattle 20. But the Rams have their first lead of the game, 25-24. But this time, the Rams defense can't hold. Seattle goes 70 yards on 8 plays. Geno Smith to Noah Fant for an 18-yard score. And their 2-point conversion fails. So the Seahawks were up 30-25. Rams have a shot here. 3:19 left in the game, but they come up short. They do convert a 4th and 6, Jimmy to Higbee, but 1st and 10 at the Seahawks 16. An incompletion, a 2-yard completion to Tyler Johnson, 5 yards to Atwell, and then on 4th and 3, Jimmy's pass to Whittington doesn't quite get there, and Seattle wraps up the 30-25 win. Some final stats of note: Rams actually ended up winning the time of possession battle over a minute more, which means they sort of kind of dominated time of possession in the second half because they were down significantly in the first half. Rams had more first downs, 20-18, more total yards, 403-336, more passing yards, 334-223. Seahawks did move the ball better on the ground, 126-84, and that was at a 5.3 yards per carry clip. Pretty good. Rams at exactly 4.0. Rams had the 1 turnover. Seahawks had 3 sacks. The Rams 2. So what were my fearsome 4 big plays of the game? And I'm going to focus on the 4 plays that allowed the Seahawks to escape with a win here. It's been a while since I've had to do this. Rams have been playing pretty well, 5-game winning streak. But in this case, let's focus on the plays that went against the Rams and resulted in the Seahawks win. Fearsome big play number 1. Seahawks had the ball at the Rams 20, 3rd and 6. Bring pressure, collapsing the pocket, but Geno does a nice little spin move, emerges from the middle of the pocket, and finds DK Metcalf. Akilla Witherspoon looked like he thought it might have been a sack. But Metcalf is open, and Geno finds him, gives the Seahawks a 14-3 lead. Get a sack there? Different story. Fearsome big play number 2. Seattle drove 70 yards on 10 plays to widen their lead to 24-16. The backbreaker, already mentioned it in my game recap. 3rd and 10 from their own 30, that trick play. JSN taking his only reception, lateraling it to Zach Charbonnet. That was a backbreaker, 32-yard gain down to the Rams 38, and it resulted in another Seahawk TD. Fearsome big play number 3. The Rams were up 25-24. Seattle has the ball in the 4th quarter, 6:49 left in the game. 1st and 10 from the Seattle 40, and Seattle running back McIntosh fumbles, and Cam Kinchins recovers, but they ruled that Keir Thomas was offsides. And, if you watch that play, I'm not so sure he was. I really don't think he was. But it turns into a 5-yard penalty against the Rams. Man, that would have changed the outcome of this game almost for sure. A Rams takeaway is erased, and Seattle keeps the ball. And of course, as so often happens in these situations, they turned it into the game-winning touchdown. And fearsome big play number 4. I'm going to call out that last play, the Rams' last offensive play. 4th and 3. Jimmy kind of short-armed that pass to Jordan Whittington, incomplete. They pick up that first down there. Again, probably score, probably win the game. Not a sure thing, but would have liked to seen that play out, right? That was my fourth big play of the game that went against the Rams. Now, before the game, in my pregame pulse video with Paul, I identified 4 things I hope to see in this game, and let's review them right now. Number 1, I wanted to see productivity out of our backup running backs. Ronnie Rivers had a decent day. Cody Schrader, I think he had 2 touches. And Blake Corum, I didn't want to see him in there at all, but we did, unfortunately. And I'll reserve judgment on that in a little segment coming up on my review of the coaching decisions. The second thing I wanted to see was Joshua Carty. Let's see him test his range. And boy, did he, a 57-yarder and a 58-yarder. So check that box. And the third thing I wanted to see, Emmanuel Forbes stepping up in coverage. I think he had a pretty good day in coverage. Maybe not so much a good day as far as tackling goes. So kind of mixed reviews on Emmanuel Forbes, but I think he certainly can help this defense in certain situations. And the fourth thing I wanted to see was no injuries. They may be asking too much. There's bound to be someone that gets hurt in an NFL football game. Unfortunately, it was 2 guys that could contribute significantly during the playoffs, potentially anyways. Not anymore. That's the case with Blake Corum. He is done. Hunter Long still waiting to hear about the severity of his knee injury. Do I have any game balls to give out? Yeah, I certainly do. Got to hand one to Jimmy G. 334 yards passing, 2 TDs, and the interception. Most passing yards by a Ram quarterback since that wild card playoff loss to the Lions last year. So yeah, more passing yards than Matthew Stafford has achieved all season in his first game action since he started for the Raiders early in the 2023 season. So nice game for Jimmy G, considering how much he has been sitting, playing with a lot of backups. Very productive day. I saw some people taking shots at him on social media. Really surprised me. Yeah, he was dinking and dunking, hitting a lot of screen passes, but hey, that was the play they called, and he executed them. Another game ball for Jordan Whittington, 12 yards rushing, 86 yards receiving, and a 43-yard kickoff return. He's looking really electric. He really is. He needs to be involved in this offense more. And I'm going to give a game ball to the entire backup offensive line. We had a starter in there at the beginning, but for the most part it was backups all day long, and they did an admirable job against pretty much a starting Seahawks defense. I'm going to give a game ball to Deshaun Johnson. The defensive lineman had 5 tackles and a sack. Showed up a lot as I was viewing, that's for sure. And my final game ball, rookie kicker Joshua Carty, 4 for 4 on field goals, including a 57 and a 58-yarder. Hit his only point after. He is 13 for 13 on field goal attempts over the last 6 weeks, and he passes Frank Corral for the most points by a Rams kicker in their rookie season, 119 points, and tied Corral for the most field goals by a rookie kicker in franchise history, 29 field goals. Now, I wanted to talk about the coaching and some of the decisions. Well, I'm just going to talk about one decision, really. I'm still confused on what McVay's objective was in this game. Was it to try to steal a win with a mix of starters and backups? Was it basically just to throw some guys out there and mix in some veterans that might need a little bit of work, not concerned about the outcome? It certainly wasn't all in to win this game, because if you're all in, you'd play a bunch of starters, right? He seemed to take the halfway approach, and I think it bit us. Hey, I'm okay with losing this game, but Steve Avila shouldn't have been in, Blake Corum shouldn't have been in, and I don't even know if I want Jared Verse and Byron Young and those guys, Kobe Turner, out there on 3rd and long. It was a very risky approach. If I would guess, Sean McVay thought he could steal a win with this approach and just cross his fingers that nobody got hurt, and we got bit. Fortunately, it's a backup running back, still a major bummer, but put some really key players at risk as well. I don't know what you do in this situation. I know you don't want to just tank the game completely, but I don't think Blake Corum needed to be out there, in my opinion. Obviously, the coaching staff felt differently. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.